Mr. and Mrs. Self-Made, Episode 1, Built Alone. Some people grow up believing love will save them. Others grow up learning that survival comes first. Sanai Noble learned early that the only person you can truly count on is yourself. This isn't a fairy tale about fate bringing two souls together. This is a story about two people who built themselves from the ground up, and what it cost them to finally let someone else in. The alarm went off at exactly 6 a.m. Sanai Noble's hand shot out from under the covers, fumbling across the nightstand until her fingers found her phone. She swiped it off with practiced ease, then lay still for a moment, staring up at the ceiling. The paint was clean but aging. A small crack ran along the corner near the window, something she'd noticed the day she moved in 2 years ago. It hadn't gotten worse. It hadn't gotten better either. That was life in this apartment. Functional, affordable, hers. She swung her legs over the side of the bed, her bare feet hitting the cool hardwood floor. The morning air was quiet except for the low hum of traffic outside. Ashmont City never really slept, but at this hour, it was still stretching, waking up slowly like she was. Sanai rolled her shoulders back once, twice, then stood. Her reflection greeted her in the bathroom mirror as she flicked on the light. Warm brown skin, sleepy eyes, her hair pulled back into a simple satin bonnet. She looked tired. Not exhausted, but tired in that way that sleep didn't quite fix anymore. 25 years old, college degree, no job in her field, yet. She turned on the faucet and splashed cold water on her face, the shock of it pulling her fully into the present. Today wasn't a day to dwell. Today was a day to move. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Amaya. Morning, sis. You got this today. Call me after. Sanai smiled faintly, typing back. Sanai. I know. Love you. Amaya. Love you more. Don't let them intimidate you. Sanai set the phone down and reached for her toothbrush. Amaya Spence had been her best friend since they were 15. They'd met in high school. Sanai loud and headstrong even then. Amaya quiet and thoughtful, the kind of person he observed everything before speaking. Somehow it worked. They balanced each other. Amaya didn't go to the same college as Sanai, but they stayed close, texted every day, FaceTimed at least 3 times a week. Amaya worked as a paralegal now, at a law firm downtown, and even though she was reserved, she had a way of standing her ground when it mattered. Sanai brushed her teeth while mentally running through the day ahead. She rinsed her mouth and stared at herself in the mirror again. You've got this, she whispered. Her own voice sounded steadier than she felt. Sanai poured herself a cup of coffee, black, no sugar, and leaned against the counter, scrolling through her phone. Her email inbox was a graveyard of rejection letters. We regret to inform you. We've moved forward with another candidate. Thank you for your interest, but... She locked her phone and set it face down on the counter. The job she had now, administrative assistant at a small marketing firm, paid just enough to cover rent, utilities, groceries, and her phone bill. Barely. There was nothing left over for savings. Nothing left over for the life she wanted to build. But she'd done everything right. She'd worked 2 jobs in high school to help her mom with bills. She'd gotten a scholarship to Westbrook University. She'd graduated with honors. She'd networked. She'd applied to dozens of positions. And still, nothing came easy. Sanai sipped her coffee slowly, letting the bitterness wake her up fully. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her older brother, Sanjay. Sanjay. Good luck today, sis. You're gonna kill it. She smiled. Sanai. Thanks, Jay. How's everything? Sanjay. Same. Working. Staying out of trouble. You need anything? Sanai. I'm good. I'll call you later. Sanjay Noble was 28, 3 years older than Sanai, and the only person in her family she trusted without question. He'd stepped up when their father left. He'd been there when their mother spiraled. He'd made sure Sanai stayed focused on school when everything else felt like it was falling apart. He now works in construction, with steady hours and decent pay. He had his own place across town. He checked in on her regularly. Sanai set her phone down and finished her coffee. She had an hour before she needed to start getting ready. She grabbed her book from the coffee table, a worn paperback copy of The Alchemist, and curled up on the couch, reading a few pages to calm her mind. This was her ritual. Reading grounded her. It reminded her that there were bigger worlds out there, bigger possibilities. She just had to keep moving toward them. Sanai stood in front of her closet, hands on her hips, staring at the limited options. She pulled out the navy blazer, fitted, professional, paired with a white blouse and black slacks. Simple, clean, confident. She laid the outfit on her bed and walked back into the bathroom. Her hair was her next decision. Right now it was in braids, small, neat, pulled back into a low bun, professional enough. She applied light makeup, just enough to look polished without overdoing it. A little concealer, mascara, a nude lip. When she stepped back and looked at herself in the mirror, she saw someone ready. Not desperate, not trying too hard, just ready. She spritzed on a light vanilla amber cologne, something warm and subtle, and grabbed her bag and headed out. The subway was packed. Sanai stood near the doors, one hand gripping the pole, her bag tucked close to her body. The city moved around her in a blur of faces, voices, and lives, intersecting for a few stops before scattering again. She pulled out her phone and opened her notes app, reviewing the questions she'd practiced. Why do you want to work for Martin Mode? What are your strengths? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? She'd answered these questions 100 times in 100 different interviews, but this one felt different. Martin Mode wasn't just any company. It was part of the Martin Collective, a corporate empire built on fashion, media, real estate, and influence. The kind of place people whispered about with equal parts admiration and envy. Getting this job would change everything. Sanai locked her phone and looked out the window as the subway pulled into her stop. You've got this, she told herself again. The building didn't scream wealth. It didn't have to. Glass, steel, precision, every detail intentional. Sanai stood on the sidewalk for a moment, looking up at the sleek structure. The Martin Mode logo was subtle, etched into the glass near the entrance in clean modern font. She adjusted the strap of her bag and walked inside. The lobby was minimalist. White marble floors, high ceilings, a reception desk that looked more like a piece of art than furniture. A young woman behind the desk looked up as Sanai approached. Good morning. How can I help you? I have a 10 a.m. interview, Sanai said, her voice steady. Sanai Noble. The receptionist typed something into her computer, then smiled. Perfect. Someone will be down to get you in just a moment. You can have a seat over there. Sanai nodded and walked toward the waiting area, a row of sleek chairs near the window. She sat down, crossed her legs, and exhaled slowly. Around her, people moved with purpose. Stylish, polished, confident. She belonged here. She just had to prove it. The interview room was on the 8th floor. Bright, clean. A long table with 3 people seated across from her. 2 women, 1 man. All professional, all watching her closely. Ms. Noble, the man said, glancing at her resume. Tell us why you're interested in this position. Sanai sat up straighter, meeting his eyes. I'm interested in this position because I want to be part of a team that values innovation and impact, she said. I studied business management because I wanted to understand how organizations grow, not just financially, but strategically. I want to work somewhere that challenges me to think critically, to contribute meaningfully, and to grow alongside the company. She paused, then added, and I believe Martin Mode represents that kind of opportunity. One of the women nodded slightly. The questions kept coming. How do you handle pressure? Describe a time you led a team. What's your biggest weakness? Sanai answered honestly, thoughtfully, without exaggeration. She didn't oversell herself. She didn't need to. When it was over, the man at the center of the table leaned back slightly. You're grounded, he said. That's rare. Sanai smiled politely. Thank you. They stood, shook hands. We'll be in touch within the next few days. Sanai nodded. I appreciate your time. Several floors above, Zion Martin stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of his office, phone pressed to his ear. I'll review the numbers tonight, he said, his voice calm but firm. Send me the updated projections by 5. He ended the call and slipped the phone into his pocket, turning slightly to look out over the city. Ashmont City stretched below him, busy and different, full of people chasing something. He'd been chasing something too once. Now he had it. The door to his office opened, and his executive assistant, Natasha Chen, stepped inside. Mr. Martin, I have the interview summaries you requested. Zion turned, nodding once. Thank you. Natasha set the folder on his desk. One candidate stood out this morning, Sanai Noble. She interviewed for the operations and brand coordination role. Zion's brow lifted slightly. What makes her stand out? She didn't overreach, Natasha said. She was honest about her experience, clear about her goals, and grounded in her approach. She understands structure. Zion picked up the folder, flipping it open. A photo was clipped to the resume. Warm brown skin, neat braids pulled back, calm eyes. He didn't know why he paused on her name. He just did. Send me her full profile, he said quietly. Of course. Natasha left. Zion set the folder down and turned back to the window. Sanai stepped back out onto the street, sunlight hitting her face. She didn't know if she'd get the job, but she knew she'd walked in there as herself, and that was enough. Her phone buzzed. Amaya, how'd it go? Sanai, I think it went well. I'll know in a few days. Amaya, proud of you, sis. Wanna grab lunch? Sanai, can't. Gotta work at 2. But FaceTime tonight? Amaya, bet. Love you. Sanai, love you too. Sanai slipped her phone back into her bag and started walking toward the subway. The rest of the day blurred. With Sanai at work, filing, answering phones, organizing schedules for people who barely acknowledged her. Sanai moved through it on autopilot. During her break, she sat in the break room with her phone, reading a few pages of a book she'd downloaded. Her mind kept drifting back to the interview. Did I say enough? Did I say too much? She shook her head and focused on the words in front of her. You did your best. That's all you can do. After work, Sanai stopped by the corner grocery store to grab a few things she would need to make breakfast and lunch. Eggs, bread, chicken breast, a bag of rice. She kept a running tally in her head as she moved through the aisles, making sure she stayed under $30. At the register, the total came to $28.47. She handed over her card and exhaled when it went through. Small victories. Sanai unlocked her apartment door and stepped inside, setting the grocery bags on the small kitchen counter. She put everything away, then headed to the bathroom to shower. She went back to the kitchen and made herself a simple dinner: grilled chicken, rice, steamed broccoli. While she ate, she FaceTimed Amaya. Amaya's face filled the screen: caramel skin, long curly hair pulled into a messy bun, warm smile. There she is, Amaya said. Tell me everything. Sanai laughed softly. It went well, I think. They said they'd be in touch in a few days. They better hire you, Amaya said firmly. You're literally perfect for that job. We'll see. I'm serious, Nai. You deserve this. Sanai smiled. Thanks, Maya. They talked for another hour, about work, about life, about nothing and everything. By the time they hung up, Sanai felt lighter. Sanai lay in bed, staring at the ceiling again. Her phone sat on the nightstand, screen dark. She thought about the interview, about the building, about the people who worked there. She thought about Zion Martin, though she didn't know his name yet. She thought about what it would feel like to finally have a job that matched her degree, her ambition, her potential. You'll get there, she told herself. One way or another, you'll get there. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in weeks, she felt something close to hope. Sanai Noble believed in building first. Love could wait, security couldn't. Zion Martin believed in vision, control, legacy. He'd built an empire on discipline and distance. Neither of them knew it yet, but independence has a way of colliding with itself. And when it does, something always cracks. If you enjoyed episode 1 of Mr. and Mrs. Self-Made, make sure to leave a comment below and let me know. Do you think Sanai will get the job? And what do you think will happen when she meets Zion face to face? Episode 2 drops soon. Until then, stay self-made. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life drama and powerful stories. See you in the next one.